All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first Friday night Q&A. It is 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. As promised, I put out on my social media networks between a couple days ago and yesterday, that we would be starting this around this live series every Friday night. It is Friday, October 13th. So as we prep here and as I preface, I want to just say welcome and thank you for tuning in to the first ever one. And throughout the night, you can ask me questions about sports, life. I know it is getting a few weeks out from Halloween, so we can do some candy talk if you like. Keep it more upbeat. But my plan, before I get to my plan, let me just let all my social media networks know that we are going live right now. We are live right now for our first Friday night Q&A. I'm going to pull up the live here on my phone so I can see the chat. Looks like no one's tuning in right now. Actually, they are, but hopefully it will fill up throughout the night. So yeah, let me just notify my social media networks that we are live right now. Let me get the link here. Bear with me for a second. I'm sure we'll get better at these live streams, if you will, as we go on. No, that's not one. How do I share that? Share. Okay, share, copy link. Live now. Come hang. Just putting that on my Twitter. There we go. Let me share it here. As I will. I promise you we'll get the actual talking here in a minute. And then I got one more spot to put it in my Discord, and then we will get rolling. Okay, then we will get rolling here. Let's pull up chat. 2 people watching. No. Yeah, if you want to be featured in the if you want to say, feel free to drop anything down in the chat, and if it's a good thought or question or situation, then I will pull it up here on the screen for everyone to engage, and we can kind of all engage in it together. Let me get the link here again. Once again. Okay, so my plan. Okay, so Discord, Twitter, I'm all set. So my plan for this is just to go over the NFL games. Thank you for bearing with me while we let the chat fill up and going to set up all the social medias. I just wanted to kind of preview the NFL games. I will check the chat periodically here, just to see what everyone's saying. But if you have a thought, like I said, I can bring it up on screen and other people can engage and join in. Yeah, I just want to go through the NFL matchups here and kind of say like what the biggest storyline for each team is here and each game and both matchups and give my official predictions. So let's do that. So but like I said, fill up the chat throughout the night with whatever you want. Here we go with Ravens at Titans, 9:30 a.m. kick. for the London matchup. I don't know how I feel about the London. I'll probably wake up about halfway through this game. Like I sleep in pretty regularly on especially on weekends, so I'm used to 1 p.m. or later kicks for the Bills. Ravens at Titans. My biggest storyline for the Ravens right now is this offense really better than last year, like everyone promised? I know people were coming in with Todd Monken's going to improve it, and they have better receivers than Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and theoretically OBJ. But OBJ and Rashad Bateman have been beat up and injured, and Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman both had a couple key drops. I mean, Rashad Bateman dropped a wide open touchdown, the other day. So, really unfortunate last Sunday. And then the Titans, do they move on? I feel like from Derrick Henry or Ryan Tannehill. I feel like Henry is a bit more likely, but I feel like both of these aren't really that likely. I mean, I could see a scenario where Derrick Henry gets traded. The problem for I feel like for a Derrick Henry trade right now is that need I don't think teams want to trade him. They'll probably be asking for a first round pick for him. And if I were a team, I wouldn't do that. I would give like a third plus fifth or third plus sixth to get the deal done. So I mean, I don't know. A almost near 30-year-old running back at this point with a bunch of carries in the NFL. I mean, he's basically the whole Titans offense. Maybe aside from this year, we're splitting with Tyjae Spears, but he basically has been the whole Titans offense his whole career. His whole prime career, I should say. So it's kind of a neutral side game in London. All the London games are sloppy, low scoring, and not very good product. But I am going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not going to give scores because that just gets kind of complicated. But I am going to go with the Ravens here. Like, the AFC North is wide open. I mean, Browns kind of look like they're sputtering, but other than that, I could see the Bengals continuing to bounce back. I could see the Steelers and Ravens staying afloat. So I feel like anyone but the Browns has a legit shot at that, and maybe that Browns defense carries them. Because we just got word that Deshaun Watson can miss an extended period of time. It's unclear when he'll return, at least the next couple of weeks from a rotator cuff injury. Next we got the Washington Commanders at Atlanta Falcons. This is going to be such a low-scoring, sloppy game. My biggest storyline for the Commanders right now is Sam Howell. Like one game, he has had like that elite breakthrough game this season, I should say. But he's had okay moments. Like one game he'll look competent, one game he'll look like crap, to put it bluntly. So, I mean, people calling him Sack Howell. Yeah, a lot of his sacks because his offensive line, but a lot of those are on him as well. He holds on the ball for way too long. One of the slowest trigger QBs in the league. I mean, he holds on it for quite some time. So that's my biggest storyline for that. And the defense is just very underperforming. Chase Young and Montez Sweat. It looked like the first few weeks of the season they were having a breakout year. Then since then they've been kind of eh. I mean, their secondary is inexperienced. I mean, Emmanuel Forbes got benched the other night against the Bears last Thursday night. Not last night, last Thursday. Then the Falcons. My storylines here is this a sustainable thing, especially for fantasy football purposes, where Drake London and Kyle Pitts continue to have huge breakout games with Desmond Ridder as the QB? I don't think it's replicable. Like, if you're asking me personally, I don't think it is. But it could be. I just want to see them tote the rock with Bijan and stop with this Bijan Tyler Algier near split mess. I mean, Bijan. I just think Bijan's insanely talented. I am going with the Falcons here in a low scoring game. Next, Vikings at Bears. I feel like obviously Vikings won't have Justin Jefferson for the next 4 games. And that's a really tough stretch for any game. But my storyline for the Vikings here is who gets dealt. Could Kirk Cousins be dealt? I doubt it because it's a big money quarterback like that. But if he does, that would easily. We rarely, if ever, see quarterbacks traded mid-season because it's so hard to get used to the playbook and system, especially one as experienced as Kirk Cousins. But who gets dealt? I mean, Jordan Addison's got to step up for Justin Jefferson, but then does Kirk get dealt? Does Danielle Hunter on the defensive side get dealt? Does Harrison Smith get dealt? He's a big money safety, so I doubt it. His plays declined a little, not much, but a little. So that's my storyline for the Vikings. My storyline for the Chicago Bears is, can Justin Fields repeat this success? 2 years. 2 weeks in a row now, he's given DJ Moore a huge week, scored 49 fantasy points last Thursday Night Football in week 5 on October 5th. For DJ Moore did, that is. But is this replicable? And that defense is kind of, it's not very talented at all. Other than Yannick Ngakoue and Jalen Johnson, who's been injured, what do they really have? Jaquan Brisker is a nice young hitting safety, but even he's been injured. So injuries are the name of the game for this team. And my big storyline is, can Justin Fields keep this up? My prediction, though, is this is a tight one. Vikings without Justin Jefferson, I don't know how many games they can actually win. I'm going with the Bears. Their first 2-game winning streak. So the first winning streak in mid 2021 in 2 years. I'm going with that. This next matchup, let's check chat here. Anyone saying anything? No. Okay. Feel free to fill up the chat, but we got Seahawks at Bengals now. My biggest storyline for the Seahawks is, coming off the bye, Kenneth Walker had a really dominant game against the Giants. Kenneth Walker's kind of had a slow start before that, the first 4 weeks of the season before that, against any team, really. But I feel like he finally locked it. Zach Charbonnet, I was scared for fantasy purposes, him kind of eating into his time and workload. He hasn't really at all. But DK Metcalf, can JSN get unlocked? Can Taylor Lockett kind of get unlocked as well? Because it's just been kind of DK Metcalf. But Kenneth Walker finally has momentum, and that defense is outperforming mightily. It's the Giants O-line, who's inexperienced, beat up, and played at a very below average, poor level. But 11 sacks is 11 sacks for that defense. And they have Devon Witherspoon. Electric kid with Tariq Woolen as well. And Jamal Adams just got injured, so he'll probably miss a game or two. I kind of forgot about that injury. Haven't seen anything that is. So yeah, this defense is outperforming with rookie Derek Hall, second-year player to Minnesota, University of Minnesota, that is the U of M. Boye Mafe, and then Derek Hall, like I just mentioned. Jordan Brooks at linebacker. So you got some guys here for sure on defense that are outperforming their preseason expectations. And then for the Bengals, this offense finally got back on track, but if teams double, even triple team Ja'Marr Chase at times, can they trust guys, T. Higgins, even if he is play nowhere near 100%? Can Irv Smith Jr. get involved? And can Tyler Boyd get involved? I feel like the offense bounced back, but it's too concentrated in a huge way between Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase, and that's literally it. But I am going to go, this is really tough. Seahawks in this game. I'm not going to predict an exact scores for any of these games, but Seahawks are probably going in by 3-6 points. Whoever does win definitely won't win by more than a possession, you would think. 49ers and Browns. This is very, very simple. My biggest storyline for the 49ers is, you can't not pick them. Until they prove me otherwise, then until they prove me otherwise, I'm going to continue to keep picking them. They give me no reason not to pick them. And I just have to get this off my chest. What is people's beef, I guess you could call it, Brock Purdy? Is it because he doesn't have the flashy tools that the media looks for? He doesn't have so that means arm strength, athleticism, mobility, wow plays, whatever. Is it because people say, wow, he's surrounded by Debo and CMC and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Elijah Mitchell? Okay. And Jordan Mason, I guess, have been coming out the last couple of weeks in garbage time. And he has that elite defense. And then the last thing is, he was drafted this draft stock, and this guy's drafted. People got to get over that he's the very last pick of the draft, and he can't control the roster built around him. That's what a good GM and John Lynch does, and a head coach and Kyle Shanahan. A good GM and head coach do a build around their team. So I'm picking the 49ers to blow here just because Browns are starting PJ Walker. And in fantasy, downgrade all weapons. I mean, Jerome Ford maybe, but he's going to be stuffed by that 49ers D line. So don't play him. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore is droppable 4 weeks ago. By week 3, Elijah Moore was nothing. Droppable, and I definitely dropped him. And I only had a couple leagues, but I dropped him. So, yeah. 49ers in a huge blow. Panthers and Dolphins. My biggest concern for the Panthers right now, biggest storyline, I guess you could say, is Bryce Young. They should have gone with CJ Stroud. I said it. And when they traded for the first overall pick, anything, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, defensive player, whatever, anything but CJ Stroud is a fail, in my opinion. And so far, it's been that. CJ Stroud's balling out. He has 7 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions. And Bryce Young has missed a game with an ankle sprain. He played another game, not at 100%. I mean, I credit him for fighting through that ankle sprain, but they don't just have the first overall pick invested in Bryce Young. You have a first-round pick and another first-round pick this year in 2024 that is going to the Chicago Bears, which will for sure be top 3 looking like right now. So the Bears cashed out there. And then DJ Moore, which is equivalent to 3 first-round picks. So you have 2 first-round picks plus DJ Moore, who's 2 first-round picks plus DJ Moore invested in Bryce Young. I don't know. It should have taken CJ Stroud, in my opinion. And I feel like there'll be buyers at the deadline for a wide receiver, whether it's Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton from the Broncos, Marquise Brown from the Cardinals, whoever it may be. I feel like they're going to get a good receiver because DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo for the future. I mean, they're not really performing. It doesn't help, and Bryce Young is disappointing as well. And then at Dolphins, I mean, they got everything clicking right now. My only concern and storyline, I guess you could call it, if you want to even call it a concern right now, is that defense. I know they're going to get Jalen Ramsey back in December, but they've been severely underperforming. Jalen Phillips hasn't played in 3 weeks. So he's played what, like 2 out of 5 games for the Dolphins this season? Yeah. And he's dominant when he's on the field. But unless your name is like Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins, and Javon Holland, you're really underperforming in Vic Fangio's defense. David Long Jr. was a steal at the price point that got him at $5.5 million, $5.5 million for agency. Like I said, Jalen Ramsey eventually will come back. Xavier Howard, I've always thought he was overrated, especially when they play the Bills, because Diggs cooks him every time. But my point is they've underperformed, unless for a select few players, Javon Holland, Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins, they've all been disappointing. Although, diamond in the rough, Andrew Van Ginkel, AVG, has really stood out, whether it's at cover linebacker, rush linebacker, or rush end, however you want to term it. I think Dolphins, I hate to go 2 blowouts in a row, but I think Dolphins win here. Next, Colts at Jags. So my storyline for the Colts is Gardner Minshew, at least in terms of fantasy purposes, Gardner Minshew is probably a more stable quarterback to unlock. Well, not probably, I know he is a more stable quarterback to unlock the talents of Josh Downs and Michael Pittman Jr. And like, if you activated Jonathan Taylor in multiple leagues, which I did in multiple leagues last week, kind of disappointing. Zach Moss went off, but this is probably the quote unquote Zach Moss game, if you will, because I just don't think he's gonna. I think he's sadly gonna be phased out. He's a good backup to have, though. Disappointing in Buffalo, but it's a 3rd-round pick. But like I said, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman Jr., upgrade these guys for as long as, and who knows, the Colts might shut Anthony Richardson down because he's kind of like Josh Allen's rookie. At Florida, he got beat up a lot. I mean, he's played 4 games in the NFL, missed 1 totally because of injury, and he hasn't finished 3 of them. So 3 out of 4, he's left because of concussion, ankle, shoulder, whatever. And this one is going to cost him 4 to 8 weeks. That's a big time frame. He's on IR right now. I doubt it's probably on the maximum end of like 7 or 8 weeks, unfortunately. But yeah. And then at the Jags, I feel like they're finally hitting their stride with all the weapons they got. Zay Jones isn't playing, but that's kind of as a report today. Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby at the goal line. I feel like they're finally hitting their stride. The only thing is the run defense is terrible. I like their secondary pieces with Rashawn Jenkins, Andre Cisco, and Tyson Campbell. They just got to get more bodies up front. And they actually just activated Devon Hamilton off. They didn't add him to the active roster, but they opened his 21-day, 3-week practice window. So that's good. I'm gonna go with the Jags here, but I won't be surprised or shocked one bit if the Colts do pull it off. It would be an upset because like powerhouse going against a surprising, sneaky mess around team. The Colts can mess around and win because anything AFC matchups, whether it's any team in the AFC South versus any other team in the AFC South, the AFC South matchups are always extremely weird, at least in my mind, and weird stuff happens. I'm gonna go with the Jaguars though, but I won't be surprised if it goes that way. But Jaguars beat the Colts. Next, Saints at Texans. My big thing for the Saints right now here is the Derek Carr shoulder injury, and I feel like I was surprised he played the very next game. I'm surprised he didn't miss any time at all. I thought for sure he would miss like at least 2 to 3 weeks. Um, at least miss 2 to 3 weeks. What was I saying? Yeah, at least miss 2 to 3 weeks, and I feel like that's kind of hurting Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, mainly Chris Olave for fantasy purposes there. So I feel like they need to feed him more. And Alvin Kamara, I mean, man, 24 targets over 2 games. He got 13 targets out of backfield in his first game back in week 4, and then he got 9 targets in week 5 in his second game back. Amazing. He didn't waste any time. And then for the Texans, I mean, they're a very, very hard team to figure out. 1 week, even in a loss, he just was balling this year, so don't get that wrong. Like, Carolina should take him number 1. I already stressed my grievances with that, concerns with that, if you will. But CJ Stroud's balling right now. One game they look dominant, one game they come out kind of flat and then make a late push or the opposite end around, whatever. They're a very hard team to figure out. I am going to go with the Texans just because they're home. The Saints are home. I'd probably pick the Saints, but I won't be surprised either way. These are the 2 of the toughest teams to figure out right now in the NFL. On a week-to-week basis, that is. Next, Patriots at Raiders. It's so boring. Jacoby Myers getting a quote-unquote revenge game. Well, it is a revenge game against the Patriots. They swept him off for Juju Smith-Schuster. They're basically the same player. And Jacoby Myers has proved to be a lot better this season. It's not like Jacoby Myers is some elite athlete or elite receiver, but Juju, I mean, he's not even going to play in this matchup. In Robert Kraft, there's a report that said Robert Kraft won't be afraid to fire Bill Belichick or say, hey, you got to retire. So either you retire or we fire you, and it's going to look better in the resume in the public eye if he retires. But either way, this is a bold statement because, like, we know his success and all that. But either way, Bill Belichick, I don't think will be back at the Patriots next year. I don't think he'll be back, honestly, anywhere next year. He'll probably retire. That's my bold take. But Patriot, it seems silly to say, but I mean, that's just what I think. Patriots at Raiders. Who am I gonna pick? I just kind of exclaimed it all, if you will. I'm gonna go with the. Well, who am I kidding? I'm going with the Raiders. Like Jacoby Myers is gonna be all juiced up for that one, revenge game, if you will. So, yeah, I'm going with the Raiders. But low scoring game. Cardinals at Rams. Cardinals finally came down to earth. They played like they thought we were. They played like the terrible Cardinals. Like Josh Dobbs was dealing the first 4 or so weeks of the season. And Marquise Brown was kind of but Rondale Moore was getting some things going. That defense was outperforming. Led by Zaven Collins at linebacker. They played the linebackers out of position, though, I feel like. That's why they traded away Isaiah Simmons and they have Zaven Collins. But whatever. That's besides the point. They finally played like the terrible Cardinals that they are. And James Conner is going to miss a week. I picked up Amari DiMercato in a couple fantasy leagues. I might get burned by that because Keontae Ingram is apparently technically the starter on the depth chart, but whatever. And then Rams. This is such a fun team to watch. I mean, hashtag Puka Juice, right? Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, 2 duels kind of slipping in irrelevance now, but this is like obviously top wide receiver duos in the league. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. even Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. I'm sure I'm missing one, but Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. There you go. But I feel like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua, again, hashtag Boots, are right there in the mix. Not like top, but like sleepy, great wide receiver duo. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm going to go with those are my storylines for both those teams. And the Rams defense is actually outperforming expectations. I think Raheem Morris is a phenomenal defensive coach. That's why I said I think they're outperforming their expectations. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams here, but it's not looking good. So, I mean, it's whatever. It's not looking good for the Cardinals. They are back down to earth, if you will. I'm going with the Rams here. If the Rams lose, then the Rams are a very fun team to watch, though, man. Next, Eagles at Jets. My big storyline for the Eagles right now is a couple of their really big name defensive stars are out, and Jalen Carter. He had 25 pressures coming in this week. 25, guys. 25. 25 pressures out of Georgia for the Eagles. I mean, Breece Hall was going to get absolutely stuffed. I still wouldn't start Breece Hall in fantasy because they still got Fletcher Cox and, Jordan Davis. Man, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. What a duo. But anyway, I still wouldn't start Breece Hall, but since Slay's out, I would suggest maybe if you have to in a bench starting Garrett Wilson, you probably traded him away by now, though. But for some reason, if you haven't, I guess you could start him. And then for the Jets, they're kind of like on a quote unquote Cinderella run here early on. Zach Wilson isn't playing very well at all. Maybe they trade for Kirk Cousins or Ryan Tannehill. I doubt it. Maybe they draft a quarterback next year. I doubt it because they have Aaron Rodgers. But I'm going to go with the Eagles here in a blowout. So it's won 2 games in a row. That's great. But they still have a guy named Garrett Wilson. They do have Garrett Wilson, but a guy named Zach Wilson at the helm. Next, our first regular game before we get to Sunday Night Football primetime. Lions at Bucks. This is so tough. So the toughest games I should say thus far to pick are Saints at Texans, and then Seahawks Bengals, and then this Lions Bucks is probably the toughest. I love the Lions. Honestly, they probably should be 5-0 right now, just because of a kind of costly mistake overtime against the Seahawks. But they're one overtime loss away from being 5-0. They're 4-1. The top 3 in the NFC. I do power rankings on my Patreon. I'll talk about them more at the end. But I had top 3 teams in the NFC. I'll be surprised if anyone has them different than this order. 49ers, Eagles, Lions. You could might as well print the hats and shirts for the NFC North winners right now saying the Lions, you're NFC North champions. The Vikings, terrible. Bears, gotta win, but still terrible. Packers, Twin Love ain't the guy. After first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, that's gone. Totally downhill. But I'm going my Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs is out. My Lions. They're kind of are my Lions because they're kind of like my Bills, beloved Bills, always deep in my heart. But Lions are kind of like my NFC, second rooting interest team. But yeah, I do want to. Lions at Bucks. Bucks right now. Can Baker Mayfield keep up this high level play? It's not like he's scorching earth right now or anything. Excuse me. It's not like he's scorching earth right now or anything, but he is playing at a decently high level. I still think he's a bust. How is he not? He's been to 18. He's his 6th year in the league, so he's played 5 full seasons in the league. And he's been on 4 different teams. So Browns, Panthers, Rams for a few short weeks towards the end of the season last year, and Bucks beat up Kyle Trask. That's some big to do there. But anyway, the defense just isn't playing well for the Bucks, and they got on the run game. Rashad White, Sean Tucker, Keyshawn Vaughn, especially Rashad White, severely disappointing. So Lions at Bucks. I'm gonna go with the Lions, but I won't say. Actually, I will be surprised if the Bucks win. That would be a really upset in my opinion. But they're kind of a scrappy team if you think about it. So, eh. And then not lastly, because we got Monday Football. Second to lastly, game Giants at Bills. I just released my preview for this yesterday, so go check out my full thoughts, players, the game predictions, keys for Bills offense, defense, all that on this here channel, Around the Slice YouTube channel. That is. I got the Bills, like the short end of it is they got the Bills in a huge blowout. I won't spoil the score, but it's I'll just say this. If we don't win by at least 20 plus, I'll be absolutely shocked. In so many storylines here, Brian Dable returning to Buffalo, Matt Breida, I guess, Isaiah Hodgins, I guess, but big one, Tyrod Taylor, who's starting. Tyrod Taylor, plus accuracy, very accurate and smart. The football never turns it over. I don't know how much athleticism he's gotten at like 33, 34 years old now, but that's neither here nor there. Well, it is because obviously, I'm talking about so. But he never had arm strength in Buffalo, so yeah. His problem with Buffalo is he's very accurate and safe at the ball, but he was too short, couldn't see over his own line. I'm not being rude or mean, but he just couldn't see over his own offensive line. And then more bigger thing in my opinion is when he was asked to lead game-winning drives and clutch up, if you will, and the term clutch up, if you will, and make big time throws, he just cracked, unfortunately, under the pressure. But I got the Bills in a blowout. And again, if we win by at least 20 plus, I'll be genuinely shocked, and that's an issue. If we lose, I'll be beside myself. Next Monday Night Football, Cowboys at Chargers. I'm going with the Chargers, but this is a heavyweight battle. The Cowboys defense has kind of taken a slight dip. Maybe it's gone from like top 5 in the league to just top 10. But top 10 is still pretty good. You got to wonder now, though, will Michael Parsons not be rushing off the edge as much because he'll be playing more traditional coverage linebacker because Leighton Vander Esch was placed on IR out for at least 4 games, and the timeline is probably 6 to 8. Probably 6 to 8 weeks. But yeah. Cowboys, will Dak get back on track? Feed CeeDee Lamb ball. Feed CeeDee Lamb the ball. Please. And then Gilmore and Michael Parsons and Dexter Lawrence. They're just going to have to step up more for Leighton Vander Esch. And then Chargers, they're so good. Like, I will bet money this time next year, not even this time next year, before next season, if they don't win at least the playoff game, Brandon Staley's out. If they miss the playoffs game altogether, I mean, he's not even going to last for the end of the season. He's out. And then I think, excuse me, I think Kellen Moore is the head coach this time next year before next season. 2024 coach Kellen Moore. I got this as I'm going to do football. The Chargers in a very close game. Both defenses are kind of both defenses are kind of underperforming. Not as much the Cowboys, but the Chargers defense is so bad. They shouldn't be as bad because they have superstar, at least in terms of name brand, on their defense, and Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Asante Samuel Jr., Khalil Mack, who had 6 sacks in one game. What week was it? I lose track of the weeks at this point. But one of the earlier games a couple weeks ago, Khalil Mack had 6 sacks in one game. So yeah, that's Monday Night Football, and the Packers and the Steelers are on a bye. It will probably help the Packers to be on a bye to get Christian Watson even more healthy. Romeo Doubs will probably fall into irrelevance. Unfortunately, AJ Dillon has been into irrelevance. Like even when Aaron Jones, at least for fantasy, even when Aaron Jones has been out, then that means even when Aaron Jones has been out, AJ Dillon has not performed good at all. So, and then the Steelers are on bye. They kind of have a little momentum with Kenny Pickett. Their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, is just such a bad offensive coordinator. I feel like this time next year they'll have a new offensive coordinator. So I got a question here. From my dad. He says, let me go back to it. He says, are you happy with Dalton Kincaid's usage so far? That's a tough one because, like, it's obviously like he's not as big as a focal point as I thought he would be. he's obviously this offense is obviously still like number 4 scoring offense in the league in like in terms of average points and like top 3 in like basically every single offensive category you could think of. Average points per game, total points per game, total yards, average yards per game. So it's not really affecting them. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed fully. I would just say if he plays this week because he's in concussion protocol and questionable, then I want him to be involved a little bit more because outside of Stefan Diggs and Gabe Davis, who, to his credit, Gabe Davis has, what is this, game 6 against the Giants? In 4 out of 5 games so far, Gabe Davis has a touchdown, red zone monster this year. So, yeah, I won't say I'm disappointed. I just feel like they have trouble getting weapons other than that aren't named, I should say, Stefan Diggs and Gabe Davis involved. I feel like they got to get these other ancillary weapons going, like Dawson Knox. Although Dawson Knox, I feel like it's more his fault than Josh Allen or Ken Dorsey's fault because he has dropped a couple key touchdowns and a couple key catches. Gabe too, but if your name like get Deontay Hardy, who they finally got his speed going on a couple of deep shots last week. Trent Sherfield, Khalil Shakir, like those guys have to get going. Like they messed around too much, like throwing a couple passes on the sideline and Quentin Morris, who I like Quentin Morris in this offense, but he's a blocker and a special teams ace. You gotta throw a Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox. So I know that was a long answer, but my short end of it is I'm not fully disappointed in Dalton Kincaid's usage. I just think that this offense has trouble getting guys going in Ken Dorsey that aren't named Stefon Diggs or Gabe Davis. So that would be my answer to that. Yeah. So after I said the Packers and Steelers are on a bye, those are all the preview games. So what? Those are preview of all my games. So you guys can keep asking questions. We'll be going on this for the next 20 minutes still or so. Hold on. Hold on, I'm just reading a question here. Okay, I actually like this question, and I don't think I addressed this as well as I should have in my preview, but here's another question coming in. Do you think they'll use a combo of Williams flash Dotson, so referring to Dorian Williams and Tyrell Dotson to fill in for Matt Milano? Which one is better for pass, or who is better for run? I feel like it's gonna be game specific. Like I feel like the Giants, like they don't have really any like Saquon's a bruising back, but he's not really like a receiving back. So I mean, it's not gonna have to be too matchup specific for that one. And then Wandale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt in the slot. I mean, Wandale Robinson's a tiny receiver, and Jalen Hyatt, I mean, barely gets on the field anyway. But to answer your question, Dorian Williams is better for pass, much more higher ceiling, much more athleticism. And Tyrell Dotson is more of a downhill player with a lot of athletic. How do I want to put this? His athleticism is capped in a lot of ways, where Dorian Williams flies around the field, tackling machine, very good on special teams, but he's going to have to step up in the moment. So I feel like it's going to be matchup specific and game plan specific. After I feel like this week they're going to go with one guy. My guess would be Williams at because they're not going to move Bernard from middle linebacker to weak side / outside linebacker. He's been doing so well there. So I feel like this week it's going to be Dorian Williams, but moving forward, I don't think it's going to be split in a game, but I think it's going to be split in the sense of it's going to be game plan specific against guys, teams like the Eagles, Chargers, Dolphins, Jets, some of these big AFC and NFC foes that we have to play. So, yeah, there's your question answer. Game plan specific is what I would say. Dotson is much better a downhill player for run fill, and Dorian Williams much more athletic for pass coverage. Think of a Matt Milano type, who we're replacing, unfortunately. So yeah, I previewed the games. These are all good questions. Dalton Kincaid, Tyrell Dotson, Dorian Williams. Okay, so we got another question here. Do you think Jordan Love will improve? Well, they're one of the two bye week teams this week with the Packers and Steelers, and I feel like this is kind of a get right bye week for Jordan Love because two things. I expected Jordan Love to be a lot better than this. I obviously you can't compare to Bart Starr, Brett Favre, especially Aaron Rodgers, all those Hall of Fame QBs. That's that's impossible to compare it to, right? Um, what am I trying to say? So two things. One, I thought Jordan Love would be a lot better than this at the very least because he sat behind Rodgers for 3 years, and this is his fourth year in the league because 2020 trade up from the first round, which I didn't agree with, but it is what it is. Um, and second thing, all of his receivers are inexperienced. So Dontavian Wicks out of Virginia and Jaden Reed out of Michigan State, rookies who they're relying on. Christian Watson, second year out of North Dakota State. Romeo Dobbs, second year out of Nevada, so no major weapon. And then Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, the tight ends, mainly Luke Musgrave at Oregon State, rookie. Tucker Kraft, South Dakota State, rookie. No big featured weapon besides Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. But I'm talking about pure pass catchers, receivers, and tight ends. No pass catcher has more than 2 years of experience in the league. It's not even 2 full years. They're going on their second in the league. So to answer your question, yes, I do think Jordan Love will improve. I don't know how much more drastically it will be, but I feel like this bye week will get him right. And I feel like Matt LaFleur, maybe the Green Bay coach, obviously. Matt LaFleur was kind of propelled and held up by Aaron Rodgers. People are calling him LaFraud, but I wouldn't go that far. But Aaron Rodgers definitely did help his resume there. And I feel like he's kind of cracking under the pressure without Rodgers, but I do think Love will improve. I just don't know how drastically it will be. I feel like they're lacking a big experienced weapon. So to answer your question, yes, I do think Jordan Love will improve, but I'm not expecting like some drastic blow the doors down improvement out of the bye week. They're all good questions. Yeah, you can ask Bills since it's Halloween. You don't have to ask just sports either since it's Halloween. We could talk about like candy debates that could be fun. Few short weeks this Halloween. Like, what's your opinion on this candy or this and that, whatever you want to ask. So that's all fair game, I guess. What time is it? So yeah, ask whatever. I'll answer whatever. Another question. 8:40, 15 minutes or so. Hold on, I'm just reading this. Tell us how much. Okay, so we got a question about the color rush jerseys and my opinion on the color rush jerseys for the Bills. Wait, are these the Bills color rush? Yes. Okay, my opinion on the Bills color rush, the all red versus the Giants. The Giants are also wearing the like throwback with the blue, like the G and the helmet and the blue outline and the numbers and the big numbers, whatever. Let's talk about the Bills all red. I think the Bills, I love their uniforms, but they have two uniforms that I can't really stand and I almost borderline hate. The white top with blue pants. It looks so ugly. They rarely wear it, but they wore it on Thanksgiving last year against the Lions. Hate it. This one I don't hate as much, but I can't stand it. Looks like a little Christmas tree out there with all the lights and stuff. I get it looks good in snow, but this is no snow, and like I don't like it. I can understand it a bit because it's a night game, but it's all red. And like there's no patches or anything on to make it cool, and there's no cool numbers. Like at least the Giants have like enlarged font, like at least it's like kind of bulged out. But I don't like these uniforms one bit. The red, the white top. I'm kind of going off topic, but the white top to compare uniforms, the white top with the blue pants, I would give like 1, they're crap. 10, they're amazing. I would give the white top with the blue pants like a 4 out of 10. I really do not like them. I would give this like you know what? Forget it. White top, blue pants gets a 3 out of 10. This all color rush gets a 4.5 out of 10, maybe 5. I'll just benefit out 5 out of 10, but I don't like it. There's a couple selected uniforms I don't like, but this I do not like. I get it. I can understand a bit for the night, but I don't like it at all, really. 5 out of 10 for the all red color rush. So, here's my answer to that. If you like it, cool. I won't knock you for it, but I personally just don't. Yeah, I'm just trying to filter through questions. I already answered that. Tyrell Dodson, Jordan Williams. Hmm. Yeah, feel free to ask whatever though. Sports, candy, food, hot takes, whatever. Hold on. Hold on. I'm just addressing something here. I guess we could talk about some other things tonight. A couple short hour, an hour actually after this stream ends at 10 o'clock. Colorado Stanford, really late kick. I don't know if I'm going to be able to survive till 1:32 a.m. to watch that. Um, yeah, Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter should be back. I know he is practicing pretty full this week, so but they should all be back. I mean, yeah. I like Colorado. Coach Prime has got a culture there, and honestly, I think if he was offered a coordinator job in the NFL and or an assistant coach job, I should say, then I don't think he would be it. He said before he's a head coach, and I think his personality and big personality is suited for head coach. I don't think he would do well as an assistant coach. Okay, so then you could ask things about things. Um, Question about candy and debates. So another question: what's better, Skittles or Dots? I don't really eat candy outside of Halloween, but Skittles, like I don't just sit there like candy. Skittles or Dots? I would say I've had Skittles more often. I've had Dots since I was a kid, but like every time I went to the movie theater, I would get Dots. This is really close. I do think Skittles are a I might get roasted for saying this, but I do think Skittles are a bit overrated. Like I wouldn't say they're grossly overrated, but I think they are a bit like I wouldn't go out of my way to get them. Like I really do like Skittles, but Dots are like one, they're nostalgic for me. I've had them in like 6 or 7 years since I was a kid. And two, they just don't stick in your teeth like Skittles. And like the sour Skittles are like too sour for me. And three, Dots, they're the green, the red, all different flavors mashed up into one. I really, really like Dots. I'm gonna have to go Dots. If I were to rate them, and this sounds stupid, but rating candies, yeah. If I were to rate them, I would say if we're talking, let's just forget the sour because I don't like those. Let's just say the regular Skittles, I would say are good, an 8 out of 10, and I would give Dots like they're a 10 out of 10 candy. So I guess by that logic, Dots win. But yeah, I'm gonna go Dots better than Skittles. You can keep asking those questions if you'd like the candy questions. We're gonna go about 10 more minutes here, but you can ask about whatever. Just it doesn't just have to be sports once again. You guess about video games too, I guess, because I do enjoy playing video games, 2K, Madden, Switch games, whatever, Nintendo, whatever. Um, Basically this is what these live streams are gonna be. You can ask whatever, sports, food, candy, whatnot. So yeah. And I thank you for tuning in as we're getting 10 minutes left. But yeah, feel free to ask away. Yeah, but getting back to the Colorado Stanford game tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, I do think Colorado wins. I think personally they blow them out. Travis Hunter will be back, and surprisingly, they played pretty decently without Travis Hunter. I mean, that's like losing your both 2-1, basically. That's like losing your best offensive player and best defensive player. So I do think. Oh, also, you can ask. I'm really passionate about this topic, so you can ask like best. How do I want to say this? Make it more fun and spicy. So you can ask best like tailgate foods or best. I'll go tailgating. Best football foods, like best Sunday football afternoon snacks, whatever you want. I guess that could be cool. So I don't know if I worded that correctly. Best. I guess best foods for football season. I don't know how else to phrase it. Yeah, but the NFL trade deadline is going. So for my content here on the Run Slice YouTube channel, I do still encourage you to listen to the audio episodes if you could. Just download help me as well on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcasts or your podcast. I should say. But YouTube will have full episodes plus YouTube exclusive. So around Halloween, if I get around to it, I want to do a Halloween candy tier list. That was a good question, the Skittles and Dots. So maybe we can do a debate video if I get enough questions sent in. Maybe I can do a tier list screen recording, whatever you guys want. But that's part of upcoming content. I got a trade deadline video. So the trade deadline is actually, funny enough, on Halloween. So Tuesday, October 31st, a few short weeks away. So we can do maybe that Friday so you guys have time to prep over the weekend for the trades that might be coming out, with trade candidates video and scenarios. And then around the halfway point, so after week 8, between week 8 and 9, going into week 9, excuse me, right after week 8, I should say, we're gonna have like rank rookie quarterbacks, like grade them A, B, C, and D on a tier list. Tier lists help a lot in context, I feel like. And then we're gonna give, since it's the Buffalo Bills Centered podcast, not only about the Bills, but Buffalo Bills Centered podcast, we're going to, I'm planning at least, that's my goal, to go with a half season report. We're going to grade Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, every group from quarterback, wide receiver to corner back to safety, basically a half mid-season report card. So I got a lot of mid-season content coming up. I know some people did some quarterly content after 4 games, but I know there's 17 games this time, and 8 weeks, I should say, isn't necessarily the halfway point, but it's the old halfway point, so that's what we're going with. So a lot of content coming up again in the next few weeks. We got the Halloween. I'll just debrief you guys here. We got the Halloween candy tier list / debate video. We got the NFL trade deadline video. We got the at midseason. We got the Buffalo Bills midseason report card video. We got the quarterbacks tier list, how they performing grades video. First round picks maybe video. A lot going on in my mind right now, and vision for this channel, and I'm always taking suggestions. So always taking suggestions. And as we get to the suggestions, seems like things are slowing down, so I'm gonna end a few minutes early. But speaking of suggestions, you can you can find this DM at me on Twitter at aweingartner13, or follow the show on Twitter / podcast on Twitter at Around Slice. And if you want to, if you feel so kind, you can support the show on Patreon for just $3 a month. You get extra exclusive content, I should say. For example, the Around the Slice Power Rankings every week. It's Around the Slice, patreon.com/Around the Slice. It's in the description of all my videos, but that's patreon.com/Around the Slice and in the audio platforms. But thank you for tuning into this live stream. And this is kind of just lay back, chill time. Friday night Q&A, first of many. We'll be back next Friday, October 20th, 27th, so on and so forth. And it may be live stream sprinkled in. I got a live stream possibly tentatively right now scheduled and planned for NFL trade deadline day coverage. So on Halloween, we'll have some fun Halloween festivities there, talk there, and trade deadline coverage wrapped all into one. Halloween trade deadline coming together in a nice one stream. So thank you guys for tuning into this stream. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, have a good night. Enjoy the Colorado Stanford game. Enjoy all the college football and NFL games between Saturday and Sunday and Monday and this weekend. It never stops. And yeah, this has been our first Friday Q&A. Bye.